I hate to point out the obvious, that makes you look pathetic. You just admitted that you're going up against an old man who is...
Jake Paul is no stranger to controversy, but his latest antics have taken things to a whole new level. Just when the world thought the YouTuber turned boxer would calm down ahead of the biggest fight of his career, he's found himself in hot water again. This time, it's not just another social media stunt. Jake's behavior has stirred the boxing community to the point of outrage. From verbal tirades to legal trouble, it seems Jake is on a collision course with disaster, and boxing experts are calling him out left, right, and center. It's become clear. The fight world is not happy, and Jake Paul's actions may have finally caught up with him. Let's start with the most recent event that has everyone talking: Jake Paul's arrest. You read that right. Jake found himself in handcuffs after getting into trouble while surfing on a lake. While it might sound ridiculous, this incident has added fuel to the fire. It's the latest in a string of actions that have tarnished his reputation, and the boxing world is done tolerating his behavior. The fight game is built on respect, discipline, and hard work, three things Jake has failed to show throughout his career. Now, even the biggest names in combat sports are speaking out against him, and they aren't holding back. Joe Rogan, the iconic MMA commentator and perhaps Mike Tyson's biggest fan, was one of the first to weigh in on Jake's reckless decisions. Rogan, who has always had a deep respect for Tyson, warned Jake that his antics would not end well. "Jake's playing with fire," Rogan said. "You don't mess with Mike Tyson, not now, not ever." Tyson, known for his sheer power and relentless aggression, is a living legend in the sport. Picking a fight with Tyson, even verbally, is a mistake no serious boxer should make. Yet Jake, never one to shy away from controversy, went after Tyson, and the consequences are now clear for all to see. Oscar De La Hoya, a former world champion and current boxing promoter, also had strong words for Jake. De La Hoya expressed frustration with Jake's approach to the sport, calling his behavior embarrassing. He pointed out that Jake's actions were dragging boxing through the mud and making a mockery of what should be a respected sport. If Jake wants to be taken seriously in boxing, he needs to act like a professional, not like a YouTube prankster, De La Hoya said. Coming from a man who has seen and done it all in boxing, this is a scathing critique of how Jake has conducted himself in and out of the ring. Michael Bisping, a UFC legend and longtime critic of Jake Paul, was perhaps the harshest. Bisping has never had much patience for Jake's antics, and his recent arrest and controversies only reinforced his opinion. "Jake's not cut out for this sport," Bisping said bluntly. "He's more interested in staying in the headlines than actually becoming a real champion." Bisping's assessment, while brutal, reflects the growing sentiment among boxing fans and experts alike. Many believe Jake is more focused on the fame and attention than on the dedication required to succeed in professional boxing. Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers of all time, also chimed in on Jake's situation. Mayweather has long been skeptical of Jake's career, questioning whether the YouTuber had what it takes to face real competition. "Jake's doing well for now, but once he faces a real fighter, it's going to be bad," Mayweather said. Given Jake's recent arrest and public humiliation, it seems Mayweather's prediction may already be coming true. The entire boxing community is united in its stance. Jake Paul's behavior is unacceptable. These aren't just random critics on social media. These are legends of the sport, individuals who have dedicated their lives to boxing. When they speak, the fight world listens. And right now, they're all saying the same thing. Jake needs to clean up his act, or his time in the sport will be short-lived. It's a harsh reality check for someone who has built a career on controversy, but boxing is a different world from YouTube, and Jake is learning that the hard way. Let's be real, Jake Paul has never been fully respected in the boxing world. Why? Because his career has been built on knocking out washed-up athletes and retired celebrities. His wins look good on paper, but a deeper dive reveals that his opponents were far from top-tier boxers. Nate Robinson, Ben Askren, and Tyron Woodley were never serious contenders in the boxing world. They were simply stepping stones, providing Jake with highlight reel knockouts that, in the end, didn't mean much. The only time Jake faced a legitimate boxer, Tommy Fury, he lost. That fight was a wake-up call for Jake, but instead of taking it as a lesson, it seems he's doubled down on his reckless behavior. Fury, who comes from a family of fighters, handed Jake his first career loss with ease, exposing the flaws in Jake's game and proving that when faced with real competition, Jake isn't up to the task. Now, Jake is preparing for what's being billed as the biggest fight of his career, a showdown with Mike Tyson on November 15th at AT&T Arena. The hype surrounding this fight is off the charts. Even Netflix is on board, ready to document the entire event. But let's be honest, this fight is a mismatch from the start. On one side, we have Jake Paul, a 27-year-old YouTuber who has only been boxing for a few years. On the other side, we have Mike Tyson, a 58-year-old boxing icon who dominated the sport during his prime. While Tyson may be older now, he's still a beast in the ring. His experience, power, and technique are levels above anything Jake has ever faced. Sure, Jake has knocked out a few MMA veterans and retired athletes, but going up against someone like Tyson is a completely different story. It's like pitting a rookie against a Hall of Famer. The odds are stacked against Jake, and many experts believe this fight will end in disaster for the so-called problem child. Joe Rogan, Oscar De La Hoya, Michael Bisping, and Floyd Mayweather are all in agreement. Jake Paul is not ready for Mike Tyson, and the fight world is starting to realize that Jake may have bitten off more than he can chew. While Jake's fan base remains loyal, the boxing community is losing patience with his antics. They see through the hype and recognize that Jake's career is built on carefully selected fights, not legitimate challenges. As the fight with Tyson approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Jake, this is more than just another match. It's a test of whether he truly belongs in the sport. A win would silence his critics and prove that he can hang with the best. But a loss, especially a brutal one at the hands of a boxing legend like Tyson, could be the end of his boxing career. The pressure is on, and Jake's actions leading up to this fight are only making things worse. While Jake may still have a chance to redeem himself in the ring, his recent behavior suggests otherwise. The arrest, the trash talk, and the controversies have all added up, and the boxing world is watching closely. If Jake doesn't shape up, he might find himself out of the sport for good. Boxing requires discipline, respect, and hard work, three things Jake has failed to demonstrate. And while he's made a name for himself as a YouTube star, the real test is whether he can transition into a legitimate boxer. The fight on November 15th will be a turning point in Jake Paul's career. It's his chance to prove the doubters wrong, to show that he's more than just a social media personality. But with the odds stacked against him and the fight world united in their criticism, it's hard to see how this ends well for him. Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. Everyone will be watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Asterisk, what do you think? Will Jake Paul prove the doubters wrong, or is he in over his head? Share your thoughts in the comments.